Hi, I'm Geeta Nadkarni. I am the founder of Impact with Influence, which is a program to help coaches, consultants, course creators. Basically, if you have an expertise that is life-changing, what we help you do is really understand what your secret sauce is, help you articulate it in a way that makes your ideal clients run towards you, help you get out of your own way because often you have limiting beliefs that are preventing you from showing up the way you truly are, help you design a premium program and then get crap tons of press so you can get it out into the world and start a movement. And speaking of starting a movement, I'm here today with Katie Pappo, who's one of my favorite students from our program. And what she does is absolute magic. And I'm going to get her to tell you what she does so you understand. Go ahead, Katie. Tell us what you do.
I help compulsive overeaters, binge eaters, food addicts, emotional eaters heal their relationship with food, often after decades of struggling, so they never have to diet again.
It's so magic. We're going to talk about your client results in just a second and one of your earliest clients who was your own mom, because I love this story and right? And so much. Talk about healing. You helped her heal her relationship with food, and then in doing so, you helped heal your relationship with her. And it's just this whole thing. And I love this is why we do what we do. So this is amazing. So let's just rewind to back in the day when you first joined our program. What were you struggling with? What brought you to that epiphany session with me?
Yeah, so many things, but really what it boiled down to was I was coaching really part-time in addition to the way that I made money. And I loved coaching so much, and I just never saw a way where it could carry me financially. And I was working for other people, and don't get me wrong, I had a great job where I had a lot of autonomy. I could make my own hours. I was working for an organization I loved and respected, but as it boiled down, I didn't feel challenged. I didn't feel like I was truly living my purpose. And I didn't love that I wasn't my own boss.
Totally. And you were working a lot of hours and making decent money, but not the kind of money you're making now.
It was decent, but it's the kind of thing where if you go on vacation, then you don't make money. And I didn't love the idea that I wasn't setting my own rate.
Mm-hmm.
Why should someone else be deciding my rate? And it just started to I always had just kind of accepted that as truth, but then it started to occur to me, especially when I started listening to you, that, wait a minute, this is a decision that I can make myself.
And it's funny, speaking of rate, because I actually have my notes from our epiphany sessions, because I always take notes. I'm very, very diligent. So I'm listening not just for what you're saying, but for what you hadn't realized. And speaking of rates, I feel like we should just go right there. Do you remember? Because I asked you at some point, I was like, okay, Katie, so if we helped you design this coaching program, what would you charge for it? Do you remember what you said? Like, do you remember that interaction?
All I remember is you laughed at me and said, no.
Because it was too low. I was like, wait, you just explained to me what you help people do. You help people who are habitual, compulsive food addicts, overeaters who are in this toxic relationship with food that's showing up as depression and anxiety and having them, their boundaries are being violated in a number of different ways because they're not showing up for themselves. You help them actually heal that forever without the whole stupid dieting and keto and this and that and the other thing. And you're charging what? Like I was like, if you charge that, people are not going to understand the true power of your magic. Like you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're going to attract all the people who are dabblers if you charge that.
Which is what was happening. And I thought that maybe there was a problem with me. But then once you helped me, oh my God, I am getting the most committed people who are getting the best results. And I didn't even realize, because I felt that guilt about charging more. I was a volunteer for so long, like pure volunteer, and I always wanted to, kind of live in
be
that
of service. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was a contradiction between being of service and charging. And what I've learned from just seeing the results, it's like I am doing people a service by charging because they are showing up so committed, and I'm attracting the right people who are truly ready to make this investment in themselves, just like how I do with you.
Exactly, right? And what is it like? Like, what is the difference between working with some of those dabblers, or, you know, when you were charging the much lower rates when you were doing this only part-time? Part of it is when you're charging a lower rate, you can only do it part-time, because even if you max out your calendar, you're never going to make enough money and you're going to be burnt out. So doing that kind of keeps you stuck in that pattern. You can't quite, like, there's nowhere to go. So what was it like when you would, like, what were those clients like compared to the clients that you're working with today? What is the difference for you as a coach?
Yeah, it was like, oh yeah, I'll do this if it's convenient for me, or I'll do it if it's exciting, or I'll do it if, and I think anybody, who has made any kind of big transformation in their life, yeah, it's always exciting in the beginning, but when you're building those habits and stuff like that, there are going to be days where you're just not going to feel like it. And I would get the people who, as soon as they just didn't feel like it anymore, they just, or it would be people who were just not coachable. They'd say like, oh, this is what you're doing. Okay, well, I'll adapt this piece and this piece, but I'm still going to keep up what I'm doing here. And they just would not be fully coachable or committed. So they just wouldn't get the results because they're picking and choosing what they think will work when they're not the expert.
And that becomes your fault, right? Like, your method is broken, Katie. You're not doing that. Like, that's the energy that they bring to that relationship. And now, on the other hand, now you're charging significantly more. We're not going to talk about exactly what, but it's a significant investment because it's not just informational support. And that's kind of a mirror again of what you went through with us in our program. And we'll talk about that in a second. But what is it like now? Because you're spending so much energy and time with these clients. So having the right fit is even more crucial in a way, right?
Oh, absolutely. I won't make an offer to somebody who's not the right fit. I don't need it anymore. I only want the people because what we're talking about, to end, a 20, 30, 40 year binge habit is not a small feat. You've got to show up real committed to reprogram your brain and reprogram your life. And now they're showing up so committed. And what's amazing about it to me is that there's just this whole other level, even as they're interacting with each other, like they're all in this together. And I'm able to really support them fully because if I tell them to do something, they're going to do it. And then it works. So you just need, and what's cool about it is like to end such a long-standing habit, to last you the next 20, 30, 40 years, because most of the women who I work with are between the ages of 35 and 55. So, the average woman lives till 80. They're mostly going to have 20, 30, 40 years left of life. So if you're going to be really committed to a permanent change, of course it's going to take an investment, because you're investing your energy, you're investing your time. Money's just energy. So you're investing your energy and saying, I'm really ready to fix this now. I'm all in.
And you were able to create the space for them to do that because you did it. You led by example. And that's one of you know how I feel about that, right? People who are like, yeah, I want to charge $20,000, $10,000 for what I do. What's the most you've ever invested in a coaching program? I paid like $350 a month for 12 months. And I'm like,
that was me.
Right? And you're just like, well, how are you going to help somebody make that decision when you don't know what it's like? If you don't lead by example, you're always going to feel like a fraud. And if you feel like a fraud, you're not going to be able to step into this work. And that was...
And it's not just about like spending the money. It's about deciding that this is the way that I'm going to get the outcome. It's choosing what works rather than what's convenient or what's,
Yes.
It's not just like you can throw money at something and then it works. You have to,
you have to commit. It's a partnership. It's a commitment. It's almost like a marriage. So it's funny because when you came into our program, this was like this is what was your first time ever making a leap of this dimension, if you will, right? Financially, like financially and otherwise, but just in terms of the energetic commitment that like I remember, and this is true for you, this is true for your clients, this is true for everybody who's a coach and consultant or a coach creator listening to this. A lot of the times, once you get clear on who you are, what your secret sauce is, and who this program, your program, is really for, when you have that dialed in, the number one objection that you're going to experience with your clients is that they're terrified to believe in themselves.
Yes.
Right? It's not even you anymore. At the beginning, if you don't have that clarity, then yes, it's going to be you. They're going to be like, why you? Like, I don't get it. What is it exactly you do? And then you tell them all the stuff. And then they're like, I don't like that sounds like work. I don't want to do it. So if you're not, so first you have to deal with that clarity. You have to show up with that clarity. But once you do that, the next frontier that you're going to have to get into, and this is why we do so much deep subconscious work with our clients, because if I can't help you get there yourself, ain't never going to happen for your clients. How do you believe that you're worthy? Because the money is, you'll make the money back if you truly believe that you can have it. And this was something that you struggled with on our call,
So
right?
much.
Right?
So
What was
yeah.
that for you? What was our epiphany session like for you? What do you remember of it?
I don't remember anything like too specific, but I remember the feeling. And I remember you just asked me such thought-provoking questions. And I remember just having these long silences that you let me have, by the way, because that's how I just think. And, you just asked me all these questions about like my beliefs. And I realized that so many of my beliefs just weren't even true. Mm-hmm. And that and I was always kind of like, well, just give me the right strategy and I'll just execute because I'm type A and I can get things done. But you really showed me that so much of this was just coming from inside me with these beliefs that I just built up over time, that I believed were true. Like kind of like how our client, like my clients, they believe that a lot of them believe that there is no cure. There is no way to truly heal from this. And that's a belief that they have. So why would you invest in something if you believe that you can't have it? So what you helped me do is believe that this actually was possible for me. Be more possible, right? And
goosebumps.
And just when you showed me that this was actually a possible reality where I could do this full time and help at this level, that's when I was just like, oh my gosh, because no one beyond you has ever made me look at it in that way before. Like that was just pure your magic, and the way that you just, and not only that, but all the BS stories that I like came back with, and you just cut through them. You did not entertain them for 1 second. And that that elevated my respect for you so much, because you didn't let me like outsmart you. You just didn't even buy it. It was like, it didn't even faze you. You just cut right through. And that to me was huge.
And that's a part of the work that I love so much. And I'm only able to do it because you worked with David, right? David's my mindset coach too. This is who I work with. And it's in shifting these beliefs inside me, having been where you've been and then coming out the other side. I know the way. So now when you bring me the bullshit, I'm like, bring it. Like, I want it. Like, I'm like, yes, I get to practice my muscles against this. This is so good. It's so fun. And there's a playfulness there. And there's so much, oh my God, like it's so fulfilling and joyful for me. I'm like challenged. I'm like, I want you to challenge me. I want you to bring me something that I haven't seen before. It's really rare because I've done this work, right? And that's so beautiful. And now because you experienced it, because you received it, because your cup was filled with it, now you have it. Now it's yours, and you can take it to your clients. And when they receive it, they can take it, to their children, to their clients, to their work, to their boss, to everybody. Where they're like, I know who I am. I'm clear about what I want. It's possible for me. I'm available to it. And that's like, that's everything. So thank you. Thank you for that. So what was it like? So do you want to talk about David? Do you want to talk, because that's something that we do that I don't know anybody else that does this, where we really get into your subconscious. It's like, okay, like you said, all that type A, most of our clients are high achieving, type A driven, no matter what. I've built this with the sheer force of my belief, blah, blah, blah. But that you can start things up that way. You just can't take them any further. You always hit a ceiling with that mentality and with that energy. And so to take you to that next level, we have to actually turn you inwards and help you build self-acceptance, self-trust. And a lot of it comes from a lack of trust. I don't trust myself. I don't trust the universe. I don't trust this is going to work. I don't like that. And it's like all analysis. So you brought that, right? You remember that, right? You're just like, there was a lot of but the thing. And what is beautiful about you though, and I will say this, is you were so freaking coachable. Katie, you were so open, you were so available. You were like, I understand this is bullshit. I can't see past it. Like, help me. And you really, you really accepted the help. And this is why you're here. This is why you've got what you've gotten now. It's a beautiful thing. What was it like working with David and having somebody kind of reach into your subconscious to where years and years and years of packed beliefs were kind of felt so solid that they were immovable?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest things that stood in my way was this like pattern of what if? What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if it doesn't happen fast enough? What if just what if over and over? And I feel like what David helped me do, and you too, was really just see the truth. Just see the truth of the situation, and without attaching all of my emotional baggage or of the past or of the future, but just to see the truth of what actually is right now. And then just be in that place. And then it kind of takes the drama out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my whole mind was, filled with drama, which I knew, and I was, help me. But yeah, both of you just really helped me to just like see the truth of the situation so I could move past it without feeling paralyzed by my own worries.
Right. What is it like now being able to bring this to your clients? Like, can you think of an example where having lived this transformation on the receiving end, having received this kind of healing, how are you bringing this? Can you think of an example where you've brought this to one of your clients without, it revealing too much?
Yeah, I think for them, and I had the same issue. It just manifested in a different way. A lot of it is just about, taking the initiative and the being a leader of your own life to really invest in yourself. And that doesn't just mean financially, but it means really invest it, like believing that your life is worth something. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that the women I work with struggle with, because, they put everyone before themselves, but in doing so, and they think that it's like a good thing in a way, but then their own health falls. And I, just as being, the daughter of somebody who struggled with eating issues, even though she didn't talk about it and hid it, I still knew as a child. And
kids know everything. They see everything.
Yeah. And whenever, I speak with someone, especially who has children, I know that this is going to be passed on. And so it's not just about taking a stand for yourself, it's about taking a stand for your family. And that's, I think, when you've been beaten, and these women have been beaten by themselves, like feeling like a victim, feeling powerless, like they have no control over food. Food controls their lives. Thoughts about weight controls their lives. So they haven't been able to, take this stand for themselves beyond just like trying to have willpower for as long as they can, which willpower will never work. And, the fact that they're finally standing up for themselves and saying like, no more. I will not live like this one more day. I have half of my life left and I'm ready to just make the shift. And that's how it felt like for me with you, was I said, I've been living in this pattern. And you had said to me something like, if you don't do it now, like what makes you think you're going to do it in a year? It's going to just be harder, and you're going to have like
more stories accumulated, right? More of the pattern that you will have lived will be like, I always, I never, it always, what if? Yeah. It's so powerful, because when you experience a shift like this from receiving support, real support, not just like information, not PDFs and things like that, but somebody goes there with you, and somebody who's clear enough in themselves then has the ability to sit with you. Like you talked about the silences on our call. Like I was there with you. And I could feel you feeling it. And I was like, you need this space. So my job is to hold that space for you to come to your own epiphany. Like, this is yours. Clarity is not something I can ever give somebody. Clarity belongs, it comes from inside you. My job is to clear the space for you to experience it. And that, like, it's so fulfilling for both sides, because every time you live it, I relive it. I get more clear. When you live it and then you pass it on, then you get to relive it and you get more clear. And when you connect with your clients on as deep a level as now I know you do, Katie, and I really want to talk about your mom because that is such a beautiful story. In connecting that deeply, people come to us for messaging. Well, where do you think messaging comes from? Messaging comes from that deep connection. Messaging is a connection play. It's not a word play. It's not about clever, us, right? We're like, what's my title? I don't know. I still don't know what my title is. I don't have a title. I just know what I do though. Right. So yeah. So tell me about your mom. Tell me about how that whole thing transpired for you, because it's such a sexy story. I love it.
Okay, so basically, as I had said a little bit before, my mom had been struggling for a really long time. She was obese for a good chunk of my life. She was a thyroid cancer survivor. She had been struggling with emotional eating, had done every single diet, I mean, really every single diet. And not only that, but she did every single diet perfectly. So it was more disheartening. And then she would gain all the weight back after, plus more. And this just went on for 30 years. And it was hard for me to watch. And it was, just hard because you don't want to see your family suffering. And I also worried, too, because I didn't want anything bad to happen to her because, people don't realize with eating disorders, you're really slowly killing yourself. And for some people, it happens faster. For some people, it happens slower. But really, you're killing yourself. And so after she had heard, because we're just, having regular conversations, and I wouldn't tell her specifics, but I would, tell her about how well my clients were doing because that's just what was going on in my life. And then one day we were having a conversation and she just blurted out, "Katie, do you think you could help me?" And I was waiting for so long. I'm like emotional.
I gotta cry too. Oh my God. Okay. That's beautiful.
I was waiting for so long for her to say that. And we had like a 2-hour conversation. She doesn't make decisions easily. She wasn't just going to be like, "You're my daughter, I trust you." Like, she was so afraid to fail, just like everyone. Their biggest fear is that they're going to fail.
It's not you she didn't trust.
Yeah, she trusted me, but she just didn't trust herself. And she said, and not only do I not trust myself, but she says, "You're doing so well with other people. If I fail, then you're going to question your whole profession, like that it doesn't work." So she thought that she would be the exception to the rule, that it was working for everybody. But I said, it doesn't matter. Like, we have to just do it. And I said, and I'm not going to force you. I've never pressured anyone to do it because if you're not ready, you won't do it. But I said, like, if you feel like because she would always gear herself getting ready to like be on a diet and building up the willpower. And I said, it's not like that. I said, it's going to be easier than anything else that you've ever tried because you're not using the willpower. I said, if you want, let me just help you. So she did the program. I treated her like everybody else. She did not get a single ounce of special treatment because I knew I had to charge her. I had to treat her like everybody else because if not, I'm doing her the disservice because she needs to have the skin in the game. She needs to show up. So
just so we're clear, you charged your mom money to take your own program, correct?
Of course. I did not give her a family discount because I needed it to work for her.
Yes.
The price is part of what helps it work, because then you show up in a whole different way. So I treated her just like everybody else. And she, like, just yesterday we were talking, she's on vacation now. And they always put, like, the chocolates on the pillow in the hotel room, which would always be, she would eat hers in 5 seconds, and then she would eat my dad's. And, like, "You don't want that, do you?" And she would eat it. And she was just like, "I haven't even thought about it. Like, I just put it in the fridge." She goes, "It's like I have candy in my room and I don't even care." Like, food has no power over her at all. And she just showed up, was a committed student, and she just did the work, and it got easier and easier and easier. And now it's like autopilot. It doesn't even, like, she'll see food and it doesn't have any kind of the same emotional baggage, and it's just done. It's over. She said to me yesterday, she goes, "I saw on my Facebook there were like ads for these new diets and stuff." And she goes, "Oh God, I'm just so happy I never have to diet again."
That's so beautiful. And I hope people, and if you haven't really been paying attention, rewind the spot. If you're watching the replay, rewind the spot and listen to it, because this is about the emotional journey that Katie's mom and everybody else that Katie works with has to take in order to be in that place of true freedom. And this is what I always tell our students is Katie and I, on the surface, we do not, like you work with binge eaters to help heal their relationship with food. I work with people to build businesses. But underneath the surface, where it really matters, we actually do exactly the same work. What we do is help you make the emotional journey from where you're at, stuck, all the shiny objects, like, for her, it was candy on the pillow. For you, it might be all the Facebook ads and all the PDFs and all the freebies that you're downloading. And you're like, overwhelmed. I have to do all the things and I have to create all the content. And I have to do it all this 17 different ways. It's the same. It's the same pattern, ultimately. And what we're talking about is the exact same journey that you just heard Katie's mom go through, which is going into yourself. It's about going into yourself and really falling in love with yourself and believing in yourself at a completely different level. Because when you do that, then when you show up, what comes out of your mouth is always the right thing. It's always the right thing. Because it's right. You're right. You're right. You're clear. You're here to serve. You're here excited to do the work that you do. And you can put that energy out. And honestly, when we look at the way that our messaging works, whether it's in a PR context, because we help people get out in PR, but we also run paid ads, like our return on ad spend is insane. And I'm in the most crowded space for ads that you could possibly imagine. Business coaching is like a cesspit of suck, right? Like it's like everybody and their mother is a business coach these days. How do we get the kind of return on investment that we do? It's that clarity. It's like we're different, but I'm not having to convince you I am different. That's what you bring, Katie, too. It's like when I hear you speak about what you do, it's not a diet. And it's not, and you're just like, yeah, try eating this way. It's like, it's just like, this is the shift that needs to occur. This is what's happening underneath, where everything came from in the first place. And that's so exciting. Like, how does it feel to have a business that's built around this level of depth, where you're not just paddling around the surface anymore?
I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful, because the work that I've always loved to do was the deep work. I used to teach all these, workshops and retreats and stuff in the Bahamas, and it was great and fun, but it was so surface level. And, you give people all these strategies and they're like, oh, thank you so much. This is amazing. But that then they go home and they're the same. And when you can really, when someone lets you in to let you help them do that deep, deep shift that's going to truly carry them for life, like that is what gets me excited to show up every day. Like it doesn't feel like work. It really doesn't. Because this is what I was born to do, is to go deep with people. And I love that. I love that so much.
And it's so beautiful because now that you're showing up this way, like while we were chatting before we started recording, you just told me like you're going on vacation. So you've just kind of turned off your ads because you got too many clients. Like what, right?
Yeah. My group is full, and, I guess I could take a couple more, but I really don't need to right now. I don't need to like hustle. I can just focus on serving the ones who are here right now, and then just use the rest of the time for my own well-being. So I can take a month.
Which is so amazing. What would you say, Katie, to someone? Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing that story of your mom, because it makes me cry every time. Like I'll never be able to. It makes me cry every time. What would you say to somebody who's kind of on the fence, who's maybe gotten on my list or watched some of my videos and is like, should I book an epiphany call? Should I reach out to this call? Like, what do I do? What would you say to them?
Just do it. Just do it. Because the thing is, I think the reason why we don't do stuff like that is because we're afraid that we're going to be sold to, or that someone's going to twist our arm. I think that that's the biggest kind of resistance. But really, like, Geeta will help you just see the truth of what's happening. And if you are not a fit, she will not enroll you. But you can bet that no matter what it is that you're meant to do, she will stand for you, and she's going to help you stand for yourself. And in order to even get to the place where you can do that, you need to see the truth of what's happening. And when we're wrapped up in our own minds and our own preconceived notions and beliefs that we don't even know are limiting, it's so hard to see the truth. So with somebody like Geeta, who can just see right through all of that, like it is invaluable. Like these, just that call with you alone was worth, I can't even put a price on it. Just that free call that like I could not put a price because it changed the trajectory of my life. It changed the way I thought. It was so important to me. So I think
make me cry.
Rushing should be running to book their appointment right now.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
You're such a joy to work with. I'm so grateful to have played whatever little part I played in helping you see who you truly are, because I think that that's what happened on our epiphany call. That's what everything else kind of was from that moment where you're like, hey, wait a minute. I'm not this. What did I write? She said to me, I'm a gradual, steady person, and what I wrote down was unnecessarily cautious. Like you were so you were so protected, like you were all just like all like this. And what we helped you do was just like peel that back so that at the end of that call, you were like available for what was waiting for you.
That was my fear. I was being cautious because I didn't want to fail. But the thing is, if you don't try, I mean, it doesn't get much more failure than that.
Right. But look at the story that you've just told. Like your mom lived that way. You internalized her process. You showed up with that process. We helped you shift you, and you were able to change your past, Katie. You were able to go back and heal a relationship that felt like it was impossible to fix. Her relationship with food, your relationship with her, like all the different pieces of that. You can change your past when you really stand for who you are. Not only people come to us to change their future, but I'm like, that's just the tip of the iceberg, baby. Like there's everything available to you. And I'm so grateful that you said yes to you and gave me a chance to get in there with you and help you create what you've created, because it makes me so grateful to be a part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you so much for everything, truly.
My pleasure. If you're watching this and you're wanting to experience what Katie experienced, there's a link around this video to book an epiphany session. Typically, you'll talk to either me or you'll talk to somebody on my team that I trust with this work. Everybody on my team is somebody who's been through the program, somebody who has lived this experience. The way that Katie is now able to take her clients through it, they've lived it, so now they can take you through it too. So I highly recommend that you stand for yourself, that you stand for what you believe in, and you open yourself up to the possibility that you might actually have it. And I'm so excited. If I get to play a role in that, it is my privilege. So thank you so much for watching. Find that link and book a call. Bye. Thank you.